Stone Mountain is an 825-foot tall monadnock with a carving on its side depicting three Confederate figures: President Jefferson Davis, General Robert E. Lee, and General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson. The creation of the Confederate memorial carving was advocated by the United Daughters of the Confederacy in 1914 and was originally conceived as a symbol of the White South. Shortly after the proposal in 1915, Stone Mountain became the site of the founding of the Second Ku Klux Klan. However, attention and funding for the project wasn't revived until the 1950s, which was when the civil rights movement began to gain momentum. With the movement escalating racial tensions, segregationists wanted the memorial to stand as a reminder of white supremacy. The memorial became open to the public in 1970, and while it attracts millions of people every year, many groups continue to denounce the memorial as racist, as the Confederates were advocates of slavery and white supremacy.
The Stone Mountain Memorial started as a way to create a statement regarding the Civil War and sparked the creation of the Lost Cause movement. This movement sought to maximize Southern honor and state sovereignty as the cause for the war instead of slavery. As time passed, the focus of the carving shifted from trying to change the South's reputation to showcasing the power of segregation and white supremacy. The mountain acted as a meeting place for white supremacist groups in the Ku Klux Klan for years. Marvin Griffin, who funded the completion of the carving, wanted it to showcase the leaders who built the Confederacy and its way of life while also showing the strength of Southern values still alive today. However, as time has passed, the purpose of the carving has shifted from honoring white supremacy to remembering influential people in America's history. The carving shows Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and Jefferson Davis on horseback, all facing the same direction. It creates a sense of awe in the visitors and causes them to see the Confederate leaders as larger-than-life people who helped to create and build America as it is today. The large size and elevated position of the carving helped to instill and enforce this feeling. Even though the original purpose has changed, the fact remains that the creators of this memorial wanted anybody who visited to leave with a new sense of respect for certain individuals who played a big role in the Civil War and the founding of modern-day America.
One unique characteristic of the Stone Mountain Memorial is its size. Unlike the Confederate Memorial in Arlington, Virginia, which has a 32 feet tall statue honoring the Confederate Army, Stone Mountain has a prominence of 825 feet and carvings of the historical South leaders on its side that sits 200 feet above the ground. The enormous size of the memorial allows the visitors to realize the significance of the three Confederate figures and the intent of the creator to showcase their great influence on the history of the South. The lake position adjacent to the carvings on the mountain conveys an idea that the legacy of the Confederate figures will continue to live on, despite the ongoing controversies surrounding the memorial. The reflection of the three figures in the placid lake symbolizes a mirror for self-contemplation in which individuals can focus solely on the efforts of the Confederate leaders and the contributions they made to the Southern war effort. Despite the racial controversy that surrounds the mountain itself, the lake serves as a reminder to the visitors that the efforts of the three men reflected shouldn't be forgotten, as their achievements and contributions represent Southern pride. Therefore, the positioning of the lake adds to the effectiveness of the memorial by leading viewers to reflect on and commemorate the achievements of the Confederate leaders and soldiers, diverting attention from any racial tensions that occurred in the South during the construction of the memorial. Also, the luxuriant trees and plains surrounding the memorial gives emphasis on the representation of the notable figures through the contrast of vibrant colors of the garden with the dull and brutal appearance of the mountain. This creates an image that is visually appealing to the visitors and creates an atmosphere that is filled with peace, tranquility, and harmony. Thus, the blending of nature with the carvings on the side of Stone Mountain formulates a compelling message that the memorial is a place where visitors should come and quietly reflect on the history of the South and recognize historical figures who helped contribute to the American history.
While intended to be a memorial to the Confederate leaders, the location itself marks the revival of the Second Ku Klux Klan in 1915 and has had a tainted reputation ever since. It was known as the spot where a large KKK rally was held in November 25, 1915, where the burning of a cross could be seen from the bottom of the mountain and the surrounding area, marking the addition of new members. It's also known that Klan money helped fund the monument during its construction, and that the first of 3 head sculptors hired was an active Klansman. The owner of the mountain, Samuel Venable, was also an involved member of the KKK. He granted the Klan rights to hold meetings there, and for decades they did. During this time, they terrorized innocent African Americans and the establishments that dared serve them. In recent times, Confederate rallies and marches have been organized without consent on Stone Mountain property, some even broadcasted on media and news channels across the nation. Because of this, some see the monument not for what it was intended, but instead as the largest shrine to white supremacy in America. Many feel it upholds the Confederate values, most seriously being their stance on slavery. The belief that it glorifies a time of slavery has sparked continual debate on its value and moral questionability that people have voiced their opinions to take it down. The biggest advocates for removal are members of the civil rights community that feel it is a step back from what they worked hard to abolish and see it as an old, distasteful relic of the past. While they believe that freedom of speech should be protected, they feel a line is crossed when the state of Georgia is condoning and financing the upkeep of the monument. Civil rights advocates claim that it is a monument to the Confederate States of America and a celebration at an attempt to maintain slavery as an institution in America, and Georgia supports it by creating it into a national park. They stand on the belief that cities and countries should not be promoting white supremacy and racism, and therefore, neither should the state of Georgia. With many advocates on both sides, the fate of the monument is still unclear, but serves regardless as one of the biggest attractions Georgia offers.